Retro Ghetto.
Hi everybody, welcome back to the Retro Ghetto on what is day 3 of the daily Ghetto vlogs. And we are kicking off, of course, straight from where we left off yesterday. And just a quick recap, I looked at 3 different options as to what I could put on this side of the newly built double unit that I've now got in place here. Kratos is locked in, I'm loving this, it's giving me that fantastic place to house my shield as well as displaying Kratos on the throne in his full glory. We're going to get to filling all these up very, very soon by taking some of the games out of here, over there, and ultimately turning this into the Sega wall. But the more pressing matter is what I'm going to put here. So there's 3 different options. Option 1 was the drawers, which gives us the functionality of storage, of course, and it also creates a nice clean space as it's quite low, so it doesn't impact the view of these back shelves from the front of the room. Option 2 was this fantastic Red Dead Undead Nightmare standee. Oh man, I love this thing so much. I'm not going to start gushing about that again, I did that on yesterday's vlog. But I did come to the conclusion this has to be in the game room somewhere, irrespective of what happens, because I'm not sure if this is the best place for it. Or option 3, which I've got to be honest, it's growing on me, is having the arcade 1-up here. I still haven't made a conclusive decision. I think the best thing I can do is live with Pac-Man here for a bit, and then kind of make my decision based on that. And one of the things that's going to help me to reach a conclusion is to get this place tidied up. It's hard to sort of take in visually how anything's going to look with just this plethora of absolute mess and chaos, because this is all I can see right now. So the plan right now for today is get tidied up a bit. That involves tidying up some of these SNES games, so we're going to jump straight on that. We're going to do a bit of the SNES wall rearranging, because I think it's time we move some games around, right? There's quite a few things that I'd like to display that aren't currently displayed. Clear this area, clear all this rubbish, and get a better feel for how this will look once, you know, the room's back to its usual self. And then we'll make a decision on what goes here, and then, like a knock-on domino effect, we can start to fill this piece up and get rearranging everything in this room. So yeah, loads to be cracking on with. Let's go. Right, so that's looking a lot better, although I should probably clarify, when I said tidy up, what I actually meant was dump everything where you can't see it. But it helps me make a more informed decision that when I look at the room now, it looks a bit more how it would look when it's at its best. But whilst I'm on this run of cleaning up and getting things done, let's sort this out, shall we? So some of the new gaming additions, obviously I've got this heavy hitter that I need to tend to. But before that, we need to get the sticker off this one, get Syndicate put away, and then do a bit of rearranging on the old Super Nintendo wall. Well, that was easy. Okay, so on to the heavy hitter. Final fight, it's in decent condition. We've just got this one area here. As you can see, someone's already removed a bit of ink trying to remove this sticker. I think this job calls for lighter fluid. These harder to get off bits, and yeah, it looks really stuck on very well, whatever that residue is. So I think we're going to use lighter fluid on this. But as I was taking it apart, I just noticed this. So people that watch Sunday's vlog will know that this is the German version, and to this point in time I'm pretty convinced that this was the only one available on the PAL territories. I don't think it had a UK release, which is quite strange given that it was such a big franchise. But anyway, inside it was this, like an instruction sheet, and this doesn't look like something that was just printed at somebody's house. This kind of feels like a real thick paper, and yeah, I wonder if this what was put into the UK versions of the games. I assume so, given the fact there's an intro, and yeah, nice cool thing to have, the instructions in English alongside the official German instructions. But anyway, back to the task at hand. I am going to do it slightly differently. I'm going to put a bit of lighter fluid on a cloth and then just slowly wipe, and yeah, hopefully we'll get that removed without causing any damage to what is a very expensive piece of Nintendo cardboard. Okay, so you can see it's starting to be removed from the center. It's quite slow going, so I think what I'm going to do at this point is pour the fluid directly onto it, being careful that it only sits in that area, try and avoid the white, so I don't want it soaking into the cardboard itself. Let it soak for 10-20 seconds, and then I'll go again with the rubbing of the cloth. As you can see, the vast majority of that's come off. There's still a few remnants. What I'm now going to do is switch to the Mr. Sheen, just to give it another going over there, and also to clean all these areas. See, like these little faint like dirt marks on the yellow? That's the sort of thing that you can get off with a microfiber and a bit of Mr. Sheen. So that's the next job, and then we should be about there. There you go. Can't get much better than that. As I say, those marks were already there before. No sticker or residue remaining between these two products. You know, I think I've found a winning formula. I've cleaned all this bottom area up. What I'm going to do now is show you guys how much you can sort of clean just by using Mr. Sheen. So if you look at this, all these years of sort of dirt, we're going to give it a very light spray, quick microfiber, and we'll see how much better that looks in a second. Boom. Job done. Okay, so I made myself a nice cup of tea whilst I was waiting for Final Fight to dry. I'd always leave these, you know, good 20 minutes, half an hour, make sure it's bone dry after using any sort of products on it before you put it in a box protector. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to get a box protector put on this. And there we go. Ready for the SNES wall. Now obviously a game of this caliber has to go front and center. Now we've already got Final Fight there, so it would make sense to slot it in right next to it. Oh man, that looks so good. But we still need to find a home for Run Saber now, because again, Run Saber's a heavy hitter, too heavy to be banished to the lowly depths of the bottom shelf down here. So right, where we're going to go with this? This is why I need to rearrange. Right, I've decided we're going to have to lose Joe and Mac. So that can be demoted. This allows me to push this shelf out somewhat, and then Run Saber can go in there next to Double Dragon. Push everything back along. That's that done. Now the reason I spoke about making further changes to my Super Nintendo wall is somebody in the comments made a very good point. They asked me why my copy of Axelay isn't with the rest of my shmups. And I simply said because it's with the Silver Box Konami set that I completed a couple of years back. But it would be nice to potentially end that set on Axelay and then start the shmups from there. It would require a lot of rearranging, but it would make sense. Okay, so feeling much happier about the SNES wall now. Off camera, what I originally moved was this whole row here. So this was all on the bottom where the Silver Box Konami set was. I dropped all this down so that I could end on Axelay, which then allowed me to carry on with the shmups right the way across. And then we get to sort of sports titles and sports platformers, that kind of thing. It is a bit random now up there, but there's still some decent titles. Sunset Riders also had to be swapped. That was for some reason in the wrong place. Terra Enigma needs to kick off the RPGs. I mean, can we just take a second to look at this heavy hitter section right here? Some absolute belters now. Very, very proud of this, of all my collections. Yeah, the Super Nintendo one is this is what got me started into collecting and gaming, right? So yeah, it's definitely the area I'm most proud of. Often I'll just come in here, turn the lights on, stand roughly where the Pac-Man machine is, just drink a cup of tea, looking at my SNES games, turn the light off, and yeah, go back to dad life. But yeah, it brings me a lot of happiness. I love it. I love creating them. I love searching for them. I even love rearranging them. But now that's all done and dusted, as is my tea, it's time to turn the attentions back to the matter at hand. I'm not gonna lie, guys, there's part of this I like. I don't hate it, I'm always searching for perfection, and it's not perfection. It feels a little bit clustered. I know it isn't, and it would certainly do, but I enjoy this because I enjoy playing it, but it's not something I'm proud to own. It's not something I necessarily want to stare at all the time. And for those reasons, I don't think it can live there. It does give me a lot of benefits because, like I say, it frees all this area up for shelving units. Also, it protrudes a little bit, more so than the units, and it's not ideal when you're coming in the room. It's only a minor gripe, but it's not ideal. But like I say, I don't think I can live with that there. So yeah, we'll have a look at another option. But before I do that, I need to set my attention to this standee, because what I do know above everything else right now is that I want this in the room somehow, somewhere. So by hook or by crook, I'm going to find a place for this. Okay, so I think I've found a solution. I've taken the backing off the standee, and it houses it a lot better now. And arguably, I think it actually looks better because it gains this white, fresh background. It makes those colours pop even more. It will look actually even better because at the moment it's still got a piece of the back on that I would have to take off, so it would fit flush. Also, this needs attaching, so that would also fit more flush. That would fit there really nicely. Also, it would actually look like nice as you come into the room, like you're not just seeing all the pieces behind it. The other option, I mean, I want this on display, and this is where it's on display the most, right? I think it looks fantastic. The other option is put it on the door. Def Jam Vendetta is interchangeable. I could live with that somewhere else. That's no biggie. I think I've measured it. It would fit on the door. I'm not sure how this would survive constantly being open and closed, but I mean, I don't use the door that often. It's like, you know, once or twice a day at the most. But by doing so, it would have this on display, and it would still give me this area to do something more productive with, i.e. chest of drawers, Pac-Man arcade, which frees up down there, etc, etc. Could even have a unit here full of games. So what I think I'm going to do now is get to customizing this, take that back piece off, get this attached so it's all in one, it's as I want it to be, and then I'll know for sure one way or another. I'll try it here, try it there, and we'll make a decision. Okay, so I've made some decisions. After much deliberation, I think this is the best option. Having the chest of drawers there, it doesn't detract from the room, it just feels the best, it feels nicer. There's definitely benefits of having the Pac-Man arcade there, but it just annoyed me. It sort of detracted from the room itself, so Pac-Man's gonna have to go back where it was before. For now, I'm leaving the drawers here. If my mind changes or a better option comes, it's very easy for me to get rid of these or whatever. Standee, however, is a different story. I mean, it even looks good there, right? But obviously, it's covering the games, and that's the problem in the room. I don't have any corners. Because of Master Chief over here, I don't have corners to play with in this room, and it makes housing things like this very difficult. But I am determined to find a home. I tried it on the door and it just won't work. I tried multiple options, but because of the height of it, it doesn't quite cover the window how I wanted it to. Behind here is a vinyl which covers the window, and ideally I wanted the standee to cover the window more so. I think it will look a bit ugly having half the vinyl covered window on show. Also, if you raise it up as high as I would like it to be, you're encroaching on the door handle with this kind of area here. So yeah, sadly that's not an option because it would have looked really good there, but it just won't work. Trust me, I've tried numerous different ways, but like I say, even just seeing it there looks good, but obviously I can't have it covering all my games. But right, there's got to be a will, right? Where there's a will, there's a way, and there's a way to make this standee work in this room. I don't care what time I go to bed, we're finding that way. Okay, so Pac-Man's back where it belongs, and when I moved it, it got plugged in and it turned itself on. I thought I'd have a quick go, and about 4 goes later, and about half an hour later, here I am, and I needed that, because to be honest, it was annoying me moving it about, and it didn't work here, so that little gaming session kind of reignited why I have it and how much I enjoy playing it. So yeah, that's back in its home. I've tried unsuccessfully to put this thing everywhere in this room. However, I have had what could be the best idea I've had thus far since I've started doing the daily vlogs. Now, these units are going to have to come off the wall, right? Because we're going to find a home for all this stuff, and the Sega wall's going here. But I've measured up these, and the width of these is just shy of 3 centimeters wider than this. So theoretically, I think I could get, what, 3 or 4 of those against here, and then I could sort of run games in all this, and then, like I said, I've games here, games along the front, games along the side. I could potentially even still leave these here and just have 2 of them units. But yeah, definitely big potential in that idea. Obviously, I spent a lot of money on all this stuff, and you know, money don't grow on trees. I don't want to keep buying IKEA stuff if then I'm going to get rid of it down the line. I want to be able to like recycle this stuff if I can. So if I can use them on the end of here and house even more games, that'll be a good look. But this thing is, I was going to say it's haunting my dreams, but I guess a nightmare would be more appropriate.
Retro Ghetto.
Right, okay, I've decided to go for a quick fresh air break, get the creative juices flowing, find some inspiration, but equally might as well take a look at a couple of local charity shops, right? So let's see what we can find. Hi, lovey. You all right? Yeah, I've had a good look on there. No worries, love. I appreciate you having a look for me anyway. Yeah, I can grab it up here. Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Thanks, darling. Appreciate it. Okay, so nothing doing in there, but lovely old lady. She had a good look for me in the back, and it always pays to be nice to people, right? She gave me the phone number of the shop and she said, look, always ring ahead, I can put anything to the side for you. So yeah, pays to be nice, and who knows, maybe it's a fruitful pipeline for the future. But there's a couple of other shops around here I'm going to take quick look ins at, antique shops and stuff, and then we're going to get back to it. Okay, so I've taken the advice of a lot of you guys in the comment section. I definitely think Ken deserves his place on the fridge. Okay, so we are back in the 3.0. And whilst I didn't pick anything up on my trip out, I do feel invigorated by it. It's nice to get away from the same 4 walls. I feel refreshed, ready to go again. Before I went, I popped this here as like a happy medium just for now. I don't know if it's going to be a permanent home, but it'll do for now. But what I do want to do is start getting these shelves filled up so we can get a better understanding of how everything's going to look. Certainly on this view, the most important view as you walk into the room, right? I think the obvious choice here is Xbox 360. With the kiosk being here, and with me having so many Xbox 360 titles, I think it just makes a lot of sense to put them in there. I've always thought they displayed well. I like the uniformity of the green on the top of the boxes. That ties in with, of course, the kiosk. This stand here, if it stays there. And I think we can make this look really nice with a sort of sea of green. Also, what that will do is give us this massive run of space all the way down here, which right now I'm thinking will house Wii U. So what I'll do is, Wii U will go all the way here. I'd love to have a continuous blue row that maybe goes the whole length of these units to house the full Wii U set. And in turn, will obviously empty that and get us one step closer to getting these units taken off the wall, and like I keep saying, that domino effect of progress within the room. But first things first, let's get this emptied, let's get the 360 games in, and let's see what it looks like. Okay, so the first shelf of games is done. Standard games, that is. And the reason I say that is because sleeve covers, big box stuff, steel books, I sort of house them separately, so we'll get to that down the line. I actually think it looks okay. I wanted to incorporate this because I really enjoy this collector's edition, and this previously was sort of on its side due to space constraints, but now I can sort of display some of the nicer collector's editions in all their glory. For what it is, I'm quite happy with it. Obviously, I wish it was a bit more uniform and a bit more flat to the shelf, but this will probably change iteration various times as I'm moving games around. But for now, that looks okay. And now we can start to build shelves in and put them to exactly the height that we want, so we can get more uniformity with the rest of the collection. This is a welcome sight for any game room creator. Just shelves for Billy bookcases. Like I say, I know I keep saying it, but the price of these is ludicrous. There's actually £108 worth of shelves sat here by IKEA's £12 a shelf policy, and yeah, ridiculous. But I'm glad I've got a nice pile here. Right, so all the basic 360 games are in, and I've got to be honest, I'm absolutely delighted. It looks better than I could have envisaged it. Let's have a look. So you guys saw that I'd done the first row, and I'd put in my Darksiders Special Edition. From there, I thought it'd be nice to just have a complete row for continuity. And then we go down again, and we've got this nice Saints Row Special Edition, one of my favourite Special Editions, probably in my whole collection. Really happy to be having these nice Special Editions on display. And then we've got another full row with Alan Wake Big Box, just plugging the gap. And when you sort of take a step back, I hope it comes across on camera, but it looks so good. That vivid green just popping. It bounces perfectly off this standee, which might have inadvertently found its forever home. Oh, man, I'm so happy that it's come together in this way. As I say, we've still got the bit at the bottom that will house sort of collector's editions, big boxes, steel books, etc. that we've still got to find a home for, but yeah, really happy with how that's all come together. I'm absolutely delighted that it's working out the way that I'd hoped. In fact, it's working out better than I'd envisaged. There's quite a lot of pressure on it to have worked out because of the money and time that I've invested in it, but also sort of doing like a daily vlog. If I'd sort of spent 5 days making content and then at the end of it all I turned around and had to be honest and say I preferred it before, tear it all down and do it again, I'm sure it would feel like a waste of time to you guys and to myself. So the fact that it's exceeded my expectations thus far is, yeah, it's a relief and a great feeling. And I just want to take this time to say that looking at this display behind me, I think it's important to sort of touch up on the fact that when you see people, collectors, YouTubers, whatever, and they've got fantastic collections, I'm looking now at my Super Nintendo games, and you know, that's great, but you know, there's a lot of people that are just starting collecting now in 2023, and obviously prices have gone through the roof. Cost of living crisis, not everyone's got the means with which to start buying these high-end video games, and I just want to take this time to sort of say, look, I think this looks fantastic. Don't be detracted by naysayers that don't like Xbox 360. Do what you enjoy. I love the console. To have amassed a collection like this, it's not overly expensive. This is certainly attainable for anybody with a bit of patience over time, and yeah, I just think even if you're starting collecting now, be inspired by this. Use this as motivation to build your own collection, buying games that are cheap now, because I'm telling you now, one day they'll be more sought after and they'll be more valuable. So yeah, this is proof that you can create something that looks nice and you can be proud of on a relative budget. And yeah, I just think it's important to point out sometimes, don't sort of get too bogged down in looking at people's high-end expensive collections. Just do what works for you, and I think within this hobby, everybody can find their place with collecting, and yeah, it's a great thing to get into, but just, you know, don't necessarily build a room and dedicate half your life to it. But as always, I want to give a massive shout out to you guys. Thank you all so much for not only watching, but supporting me throughout this journey. As I say, day 3 has come to a close. Day 4 is going to be something very special. I'm doing something tomorrow which I've waited months and months to be able to do, so that's going to be coming on tomorrow's episode, and my creative juices are now flowing more so than ever. Now I've got this sort of rough sort of base that I'm happy with. Now everything can start going from there. I'm looking at the big shelves now. I'm dropping down PS2. I'm going to put Wii U across the... Anyway, we'll save that for another vlog, but just know that there's still lots to come and I'm enthused by it. And yeah, man, thanks again. I'll see you all tomorrow for what will be day 4. Thanks again in a bit. Let's go.
You're watching the Retro Ghetto.
Ghetto.
Ghetto!
Yeah.
Lock into the retro ghetto.
Okay, so the shelves are now bare, ready for the 360 titles, and already I'm envisaging a bit of an issue that I've got to think about. So, the awkwardness of these risers is that obviously you can't move this shelf because this isn't really a shelf, it's the top of the original unit. And what that means is it puts you at quite an awkward height. With much manipulation, I was able to fill it perfectly here with Mega Drive and PlayStation 1, as you can see. This isn't actually sat on one of the holes, it's just sat on top of the Mega Drive games themselves, so that it gives you the exact space for both. With the trunking hack that I do, it doesn't really have much of an issue because you can still get games in and out. The only thing is though, DVD size games, i.e. 360, are taller than Mega Drive. So that puts you about here, so you can't even put CD sized games above it. So what it will do is leave you with quite a big gap at the top. That gap will have to be filled. You know, it could be toys or whatever, but it's just something we're going to have to think about because we are going to have to get creative with this top row. I do have quite a few collector's editions, so I could potentially put a few of those in there, but I don't like the lack of uniformity with collector's editions and stuff. I don't like the fact that there's one tall, one short, and then you get all these different gaps, especially on such a prominent shelf, which is right there, slap bang in your vision as soon as you walk in the room. So it's definitely something we're going to have to work out, but there's always a solution.